At least I finally got to watch The Mandalorian, but gee, it was a heavy price to pay. Looking back at probably the worst Saturday that I'd ever had. Like literally this found me 3 p.m. in the afternoon with my foot up, throbbing, ice pack on my ankle, so much pain. Like literally my ankle was it just went vroom, 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 10 out of 10 pain. 10 out, like so painful, so painful. My head hurt, I had a headache, I had a shoulder, and I gave up. I was like, all right, fine. I'll watch The Mandalorian. This was back in 2020 when Mandalorian first came out. Obviously, we've had a couple more series since then, but it'd come out and I'd wanted to watch it. Bit of a Star Wars fan, but I hadn't had time. I'd been pushing so hard, and there I was. I gave up. I'm like, fine, I'll watch The Mandalorian. Anything to take my mind off the pain in my foot, pain in my shoulder, pain in my head. What had happened that morning was that I'd been on a dingo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these things, but essentially you can hire something that kills you in like 3 seconds in Australia, which is hard to believe because often we're very high on the nanny state ranks. And it's like, hey, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't have fireworks, you can't have that. But you can hire a dingo and you stand on the back of it and drive it. It's pretty fun. Unless you flip it. So I picked up the dirt and I'm driving down, coming down, I'm about to dump the dirt, but instead of coming from the bottom, I came from the top. And as I tilted, I wasn't really confident and the whole thing started to tilt and it went up. And there was a split second where I heard this voice, jump, but I missed it. And as I fell backwards, because I didn't want to fall forwards in case it rolled after me and crushed me. So I fell backwards and it went up and got stuck. But as I fell back, my foot got caught on the coil. Like it had this little thing that came out down where your feet were. And so my foot got stuck on that. And then my whole weight with my foot stuck went down and ripped my ankle. For those of you who are acupuncturists, right through the gallbladder channel, if you're into medical acupuncture, we'll get to why that might be significant. And you might go, oh my goodness, wow, maybe there is some connection between what's going on in our lives and what our bodies do. But nonetheless, straight through lateral aspect of ankle, I'm hanging there for a split second. I fall, pass out from the pain, smash my head into the ground, smash my shoulder in the ground. And the next thing I know, I hear this, Tom, move, Tom, move. And my buddy who I've been working with is running down. And it was pretty funny. He was like, I was about to film you. I was about to film you because you were like looking really good. You were super confident. And unfortunately, didn't film it because it would have been an epic episode of Fail Army. Like I would have been like starring in Fail Army every single week. Like, check this guy out. Check this guy out. Oh. So I get passed out, I hear him calling, I crawl out of the way, and then I'm like, oh, okay, no pain. There was no pain for about 3 seconds. And then my leg did this like weird thing. It was like electricity going through the leg. About 2 seconds of that, and then the pain. And it was like, whoa, my God. Now check this out. Check out how crazy I am, just in case you're like, you know what, Tom, you seem pretty stable, pretty nice guy. I then jump on the mower just because I'm so pissed. I'm so angry at this point. So we had to pull the thing over, get it back up. We had to get the entire thing, like it's leaking diesel. So we had to go get more diesel. And then a little bit while later, my buddy shows up and he fills it up, but he forgot to tell me that he used the tin that was full with diesel. And so when I put my mower, I poured the diesel into my mower, which runs on petrol, and then I fucked up my petrol mower as well. So all this is going down. You might say, man, this is a bad day. Yeah, this was a bad day. I might have been just a little bit angry. And you might wonder why. Why am I so angry? Well, the day before, Actually, 2 days before that, what are you up to? What are you up to?
Oh, no, I'm seeing, listen to your...
Fine.
like,
So 2 days before, I'd handed in my first ever APRA notification, which was pretty exciting. It was like, oh, wow, okay, that was a bit weird. I got this notification that a registrar of mine had been seen by, had patient had seen them, and they were pissed off with the registrar and complained. And they wrote my name down because they were like, well, I don't know, he seems like he's the senior doctor. I had zero awareness of this at all. And then out of the blue, this thing appears and it's like, hey, you're on this thing. And I'm like, go through and I get to the MDO and we go through it and we explain what's going on. I'm like, I didn't even know about this case. And I handed in on the Thursday and then on the Friday, 1 day later, they hit me with the mega complaint. 8 patients all complained at once. Highly unlikely. No. Managed to piss off another doctor. Was like, hey, I think you might be a bully. She didn't like that very much.
Okay.
So, didn't tell me, didn't warn me, didn't say anything, just documented all, just throwing mud as much as you could. Mud. And I get this thing, and I'm like, oh my God.
Is this your own diary?
Yeah, no, this is Facebook Live. Anyway, off we go. So I'm like, I think I'm okay. And for the first hour after this happens, I'm still consulting through this. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So if you haven't had this happen, it's a little bit concerning. But going through it, I was like, okay, I'm not that angry. But the next day, suddenly all hell breaks loose. And all I could do was get to The Mandalorian. And I hang out and I watch 3 episodes, binge watch The Mandalorian, and I find myself in this very difficult place. Suddenly I've got problems left, right and center, still consulting. But if you haven't had this happen, what's a very interesting thing is it totally destroys your clinical judgment in terms of your confidence and start double guessing, second guessing, am I doing the right thing? It's a very, very difficult problem to deal with. So it took me 6 weeks. Of course, they give you 2 weeks to report on the cases. Even pulling the notes themselves, there's 2,500 pages of notes. 2,500 pages of notes. Now, if you haven't been through this, you won't know, but they don't come out in chronological order. They come out in order of notes in terms of radiology and pathology and then letters. So the first job before I could even begin was to put all of these cases back together. Then run through them, come up with what the heck's going on. This was brutal. And you might wonder, well, what happened? Did you think about quitting? Yeah. It definitely becomes an option. And the best thing is not much support from APRA. They have zero awareness of any of this stuff. And yet the weird thing is lots of doctors have been through it, but no one talks about it. I started telling the story to a few doctors and they're like, yeah, I've been through it. Like, this happens. It's an occupational risk. It's an occupational difficulty. And the interesting thing is now what I learned was maybe look after myself first. And that has served me really well. It's been like, okay, make sure I'm in a good place. Am I looking after myself? Am I doing fitness? Am I doing meditation? Am I talking to my wife? Am I looking after my kids? My wife is not happy with me. She's pissed off. She's like, why do you do these things? But what is in my life is... What is up? What do you want to say? Come and say something. What have you got to say, Emma?
How big this bathroom is so I can work out how many tiles I need.
Yeah, we got this shed thing. The shed sucks. It's just delayed. It's very difficult. Well, I'm out of here. I hope you got some value out of that. It looks like this one's coming to an end. So, message, lesson though. Life doesn't end, even if you get reported. Life, these things can be overcome, and the obstacle itself, the difficulty itself, no matter how bad it is or whatever, it has lessons and growth and expansion that is far beyond anything that can be seen in the initial pain and trauma. I never would have believed what was possible for me from that Saturday afternoon. I was like, this sucks, I'm out of here. But in actual fact, all of the benefits that have opened up, it's been a very interesting journey. If you want to find out more about that, head over to graduatemedicine.com, sign up for the Clinical Certainty Program. Look forward to seeing you another Facebook Live very soon.